We all know that collecting data is extremely important, but these days what's more important is the ability to analyze that data and create actionable insights from data. And so today we're going to talk about data that can be collected from unmanned objects, unmanned drones, and then how you can turn that data into actionable insights in a lot of different ways. And so joining me to discuss all of this is Jeff Cozart, the CEO at Juniper Unmanned. Jeff, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Tyler. It's great to be with you.
Absolutely. And we also have JC Coffey. He's the Executive Director of Unmanned Systems at Cherokee Nation Businesses. JC, thank you for being here as well.
Really a pleasure and real great to be with both you and Jeff today.
Well, I'm excited about this conversation. And JC, I want to start off with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about the partnership that you have with Juniper Unmanned and some of the work that you've been doing together?
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful, wonderful partnership. And when we're doing operations, unmanned systems operations, it's best to, what I say, buy local. So we like to keep our friends, I'm here in Washington, D.C. When we're doing operations out in the West or in the Midwest, we like to use our partners out in the Midwest. These guys are nationally known leaders in environmental intelligence gathering. And so with Juniper, we work with them out on the scene, collect unbelievably interesting data, but make it even more interesting through the post-processing analysis.
So Jeff, walk us through that process when you have a project that you're working on. Walk us through that initial process of collecting data, but then maybe the more important aspect that we want to focus on today, the analysis of that data.
It's really important when you're gathering data that you understand what the end result is that you're trying to produce from the data. So that when you're gathering the data or acquiring it, you're gathering it in a way that is functionally acceptable. It just works for the analysis. Oftentimes people will separate the data gathering from the analytics and they get satisfactory results. But what we do is we'll start with a deep understanding of what the client needs, and then what they're trying to accomplish with that data, and then plan our operations, including what technologies we use to gather the right kind of data. Ultimately, then that data gets analyzed by some data scientists that know how to produce the result that the client's looking for.
Jeff, I'm sure you've seen examples of this just out in the wild where there's data paralysis, right? Where people know these days that data is a really important thing to be collecting, that we need to be collecting and utilizing data, but they collect all of it without a real knowledge of what they want to do with it. And that's what you're trying to avoid, right?
Yeah, that's right. And Tyler, you bring up another great subject there. The size of the data that we're dealing with requires some very sophisticated systems to manage it. And so to have that back-end data processing infrastructure in place so that data can be managed and that the analytics can be performed against it that's really an important factor to bring into consideration.
So JC, you mentioned that it's important to utilize people in regions where they're experts and they have that expertise, as you mentioned on the first question. Talk to us just about the primary benefits that you've seen of this partnership working with Juniper Unmanned and how some of those projects have gone, if you have any examples of projects that you've worked on together and the benefits of utilizing a company like Juniper.
Yeah, so Juniper is an absolutely wonderful partner, and what Jeff has just been talking to you about the data paralysis, I think the word was used. I have to say that with drones, it's normally said it's all about the data. The truth is we are in data chaos or data paralysis, and we are overloaded by the data. But through good data management and data analytics, we can make the data into information, the information into knowledge. And if we're really, really good, that knowledge is into wisdom. And that's what we're into. That's what Juniper does. And through our partnership, we were able to do that. We're bringing drone wisdom, which is our goal. And that is to predict the futures, to give folks the opportunity to take actionable intelligence and make good decisions with that. And we're in a very sweet spot in time. With the rapid advancement of unmanned technologies, which include battery technologies and computing power, we've really pushed us into a drone age where small drones that wouldn't be able to pack much of a punch in the past really are very, very, very impactful. With increased availability and affordability, these multi-person drones and unmanned systems are becoming the go-to solutions for many government and private agencies. And integrating these unmanned systems and applications to get meaningful data and insight makers at sea, in air, and on land, we can save time, money, and even lives. And that's what Juniper is great at. When we call Juniper and we have to deploy to places like Arkansas or Nebraska, they're there for us, shoulder to shoulder with us in the field, and being able to turn around the data quickly so that we can make good, informed decisions at our level and to higher levels in government.
That's a really powerful testament to what Juniper is able to do and the partnership there. Jeff, one of the things I wanted to ask, and JC kind of alluded to this, just where we are in the current arc of the growth of the drone industry. Have you seen a changing of minds? Do you run into people who are still skeptical about what drones can provide, or are we kind of past the early adopter phase and this is starting to become more of a mainstream mindset?
No, I think we're right at that point where we're crossing the chasm, if you will, in Jeffrey Morris language, and the adopters have been really in a proof of concept stage to see what was possible, and at this point we're seeing much more, where clients are adopting the technology and making it part of their mainstream. But that adoptive process takes a while. I suspect that as the technology improves and clients get more used to seeing drone-based data, that we'll see a very rapid growth of this technology over the next 5 to 7 years.
So JC, I want to drill down on an example of the partnership between Juniper and Cherokee Nation businesses. Talk to me about conservation efforts a little bit more, and what your goals are, and how Juniper has supported your goals when it comes to conservation.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad that Jeff brought up the first adaptive piece, and it is tough that different parts of the government are at different speeds of adapting this revolutionary technology. Obviously, the Department of Defense, they have the bigger budgets, kind of lean forward a little bit more on things. They have been using this technology now for decades. As a matter of fact, unmanned systems go back to the very beginnings of flight. So over a century ago, we're using unmanned systems. But now, because of the things that we talked about, and Juniper's an unbelievable partner in that they are first adapters. They understand the technology, they move quick, they're agile, and very affordable. So when we go into the field, we're able to collect pivotal data to improve forecasts, to have better environmental understanding, which leads to ultimately saving property and possibly lives. So those are the stakes. The stakes are pretty high. And we're able to go out and collect data that we hope to turn into wisdom to improve forecasts and environmental understanding.
Jeff, I was wondering if you could expound on what JC was saying there, just about the conservation efforts and what Juniper's role has been in those efforts, and what it'll be moving forward.
Let's just take an example of a site that's been burned. There's been a fire. Oftentimes you really need to understand the extent of the fire damage in order to manage the soil and the water, that is flowing through that area. A burn has a big impact on the environment in many ways, and some of those ways are unseen. And with the remotely sensed data, we can view the larger area and determine the impacts, and even get to the point where we're predicting, how much, say, flood water will run through an area, in a 50-year flood or something like that, or how much erosion is likely to occur, or provide the people that are mitigating that, the opportunity to take actions to prevent damage, and like JC talked about, damage to property or to lives, or a variety of ways. So the intelligence can be used in a very broad fashion. From a conservation standpoint, people that are managing our forests and our lands and our water need to have really good actionable intelligence so that they're making right decisions. And this technology makes that possible.
Absolutely, and it really drives home when you talk about the impact of situations like this, really drives home the importance of being able to analyze data correctly, not just collect it, but also analyze it and turn it around into actionable insights. When lives are at stake and when the safety and the long-term health of our environment is at stake, these are extremely high stakes and very important things, and so it really drives home that need and that the importance of being able to actually analyze data once it's been collected, which, as we've talked about, is something that Juniper excels at.
Absolutely. I think that's primarily what our business is focused around. There's a lot of people that can collect data. Some of them collect it very well, but the ability to interpret that data and generate actionable intelligence from it is definitely a differentiator.
Jeff Cozart, CEO at Juniper Unmanned, and JC Coffey, Executive Director of Unmanned Systems at Cherokee Nation Businesses. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today and talking a little bit more about the partnership between your two entities and a little bit more about the benefits of what you've been able to create together. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, Tyler.